Hello everybody, this is Tina from the Painted Witch Art Studio. I thought I'd bring you in the studio with me today. It's been a while since I've brought you in the studio. I've actually switched and moved my studio to a different room in my house. So yeah, I'm in a different room and I'm still adjusting to it. It's a bit smaller than the room I was in before for my studio space, but I like it. It's cozy. So yeah, still working my way through it. But I am working on this canvas painting this week. This is what I started with. So I don't know if you follow me on like not social media. Well, yeah, social media. But if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I have been sharing where I started the initial first steps of prepping this canvas. And when I say prepping, I don't usually mean the same kind of prep work that an artist will typically take with their canvas when they're starting a new canvas painting. When I say prep work, I mean that I do some writing and scribbles and mark making on it as I'm kind of weaving intentions of what my intention is for the canvas. And then I start rubbing herbs and everything on it, so the herbs will stick to the canvas and add texture. It has nothing to do with adding texture to the canvas. My point of adding like herbal blends that I create is to add the energy of the herbs to the canvas. So this canvas painting that I am working on, I wanted to be something that reflects grandmother medicine, grandmother wisdom, and specifically our ancestral grandmothers. So I had used a bit of my grandmother incense, the herbal incense that I had created, the recipe I came up with a few years ago for my own personal use. And I had taken some of the herbs. So this is, if you could see it there. So this is, I ground it down really fine. There's still some chunks of the herbs in there. But this is the incense that I used. And I just took a little bit of it and just rubbed it into the canvas. So the energies of those herbs, of the grandmother incense, was being rubbed in and weaved into the canvas. And then I got some acrylic ink in black, and I just started doing some circular motion to create that portal for that grandmother wisdom to start coming through. So that's my process when I am doing a canvas painting. And now, as you can see, I'm in the early stages of the painting where I just kind of did the head shape here, just kind of, gauging of how big I want the head shape and that kind of thing. I don't have what she's going to look like or anything like that pre-planned. All I have pre-planned in this one is that it's going to be a painting that reflects grandmother wisdom. So I just thought, for this next bit of steps here, as I start to add more and more layers to her face and everything, that I would bring you along with me on that and share a little bits of that with you. I'm going to get my paint here and go to my water bucket here to get some clean brush. So, like I said, it's just all about the layers. And I've only added the one layer of her face. So the base color I like to use on the face is raw sienna. And that's just one of the colors that I use to start a face. So, and then I bring in some whites to help bring in this, more of the skin tone. And then I start bringing some other colors to darken the skin tone. especially, you know, adding those lights and darks to start adding the shadows and highlights to her face. These whites where I did for the eyes and with the mouth, that's more for my reference of where I want her eyes, for placement of where her eyes and nose are going to be. Okay, I'm going to go get my white now and start adding some of the highlights. Yeah, so that process I was just speaking to you about, of what I do to prep a canvas, it's like it's a really beautiful way of adding or weaving magic into your art. So if you ever wanted to take your art to the next level energetically, you know, that's a nice way of doing it. You can come up with your own, right? Like you could take what I just said and tweak it and create your own little ritual, so to speak. You know, when you're about to paint. And it doesn't just have to be on canvas. This is even if you paint on in your art journals. I've done it there as well. So when I'm painting, I use these cheap, inexpensive dollar store brushes. I do have more expensive brushes, but my go-to brushes are these inexpensive dollar store brushes. The reason I use inexpensive dollar store brushes is because of the way I paint. I do a lot of like smooshing and working it in there and all that sort of thing. And it does a number on the bristles. So I am certainly not going to be doing that with an expensive brush. So, but I have no issues with doing it with a cheap one. So yeah, I haven't been in here bringing you in the studio with me since I think my last video where I announced that I was closing my website, which I have since done, the Painted Witch Studio website. If you're not familiar, I had my website was all of my handmade art journals. So I was making handmade art journals for people to explore their own creativity and find their creative voice or spread their creative wings in. But I went through a burnout and I wasn't finding time for me to pursue my own creativity, and that was much needed for me because art is medicine for me, and I was denying myself my own medicine, the medicine of creating, doing art. And it's a different kind of art when you're doing it for yourself. And I wanted, my main thing that I love to do art on is canvas. And I wasn't having the energy anymore to do that. Because I was just making art journals a lot. I was rolling out art journals weekly, new ones. And I just really didn't have any time or energy for myself, for my art. What I like about painting on canvas is that you can't rush it. There's no rushing it. This painting could take weeks. So it forces me to go slower. You can't hustle. You know what I mean? You can't hustle it. And that's what I like about doing this. Is one of the reasons too is that it just forces me to slow down and just be in the moment. And I love to see what starts to come through on the canvas. I love it because I never know what face is going to come through. And I always find enjoyment in that. I do miss having my website, though, I have to say. Having a space to put my art on. What I've actually been thinking of doing, as I've been taking this little bit of a downtime break since I've closed the website, is reopening it but revamping it. And I'm thinking of excuse me, reopening my website, but it's going to feature my actual art. I may have art journals in there, but it's not going to be the main focal point. It's going to be like before. My website was just art journals, and you know, everything else was like, I had some my handmade earrings and I had some art pouches, and those were like, you know, secondary things to the main focal point to my website, which was my art journals. But this time I'm thinking of putting my own art on there and selling, and that being the main thing that I offer. So as you can see, the face is starting to take shape with every layer I'm adding on here. And I'm actually going to get, let's see here, I'll use this. Okay, so keeping in mind, this is going to be an older person, and as I start adding details to her face later, there's going to be lines on her face and all that sort of thing to reflect her age. Just looking at her neck. Where we have her neck. Shoulders. Okay. Start getting that down and putting layers there too. The paint is activating the graphite pencil I used. That's why you see it going dark, and that's okay. can make adjustments too as I go if I find that I don't like the way her neck is going. Stand back is always a good thing to do. Get an idea. Maybe I can move this where it's more centered like that. Just want to make sure I don't knock the tripod over. Okay. So I think her neck's a little too, it's a beautiful thing is you can add and take away. Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing is reopening the website, but where the focus is my art. And because, like I said, with art and my paintings, you know, they take a while. So I'm not going to feel this need to hustle. I hate hustle culture, especially when it comes to, you know, creating a business for yourself and establishing that business, and where you just start to feel like, you know, you're just an assembly line of creating product. And it takes I can't think of the word right now, but the spirit out of the art. So yeah, I'm gonna, it's also gonna be where I have my handmade earrings, my jewelry. And like I said, I may have some art journals on there, but that'll only be done, you know, when I feel like it, kind of thing, making the journals. When you're not using it to carry your business because it's the only thing that you're pretty much selling because it's the main thing. When you're having it like as a secondary thing, it takes that pressure off. I appreciated the sales that I made, the people that bought. It was amazing, and I loved that. And it was, I mean, we all go into business, and part of the reason we go into and start our little businesses is we want to obviously hope to make some money, sell our art, but the main thing is that, you know, we want our art out there. When you create something, you want to share your art. But I didn't start off painting years ago to make money. I started painting because I loved it. It's meditative for me. My husband says when he jogs, he feels the same way about jogging. It's meditative, it's relaxing. Okay, I'm going to start bringing in another color, Burnt Umber. And this is the paint color that I'm going to use for creating a shadow. Just moving the canvas here a bit. Move the tripod a bit. There we go. Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to go in, start doing the blending of the shadows, create some definition to her features. And this too is done in layers. Got this continual frog in my throat today for some reason. So with her face, again, keeping in mind that she's going to be an older woman. She's not going to have the perky, cheeks outline. They're going to be more lower. The beauty about gravity, it starts to take its effect on our faces and pulls things down. Okay. I was a little heavy-handed there with that pink. That's okay. Under the neck. The other thing you want to think of when you're painting is where's the light source coming from, right? So is the light source coming from this direction or here or straight on? Because that will affect on how much, where the shading goes and how the shading is reacting, or where is there more shading on one side because of where the light source is coming from. So if the light source is coming from here, I would naturally do this area darker. Or is it coming head on? I think right now I'm going to work from the place of it's coming from head on, but I may change that as we get more, or I get more into the painting and I start doing her hair and the way her hair lies, because even that could create some shadows on her face. If she has a veil of some sort on her face, that too will create some shadow on her face. And sometimes I don't pre-plan it, I just let it happen naturally, and I just go with it. See what happens. So the brush is a very dry brush. I like working with a very dry brush, especially when I'm at this stage. I love this stage. It's just, I just really start to see her coming together. Okay, so I think I'm going to end it here. And I'm going to keep going with her, but I'm going to stop the video here so it's not too long. But I hope you enjoyed having this time in the studio with me today. I know it's a little different vibe and everything than how I normally show up here in the studio. Usually at those times I'm talking about art journaling or doing some art in my art journal, and or sharing a new art journal that I just made. But so this is a little bit more of a calmer vibe. It's a calmer vibe, but I'm in such a relaxed state right now, and it's amazing, and I love it. And that's what I was talking about. It just, when you start to do art, whether you're doing art inside your art journal or for me though, actually, when I'm doing art in my art journal, more times than not, I'm more the energy is different, right? I'm more in that playful mode, right? So it's more of a peppy kind of an energy because I'm in that playful exploration mode, because that's what art journaling for me is too about. At least some of my art journals. I do have other art journals where I do slow down, and it's more medicine for me, where I'm just releasing and using art to release when I'm going through in my life. But more, other times though, in my other art journals, it's more of a fun place and exploring and all that sort of thing. But canvas, it's like, no, just draws you in and it slows you down, and you're like watching slowly with each layer this face being birthed into the canvas. And I love it. And you still see the portal here. Now that's not going to stay there, but I love that right now at this stage, here's the portal. And here's the grandmother coming through, our ancestral grandmother coming through. I love it. I love it. She's coming through the portal. Okay, so I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me in the studio today. And yeah, so stay tuned for updates. Updates on Painted Witch Studio 2.0, let's call it, being rebranded, coming at it from a different. It's going to be, I'm recreating it to be a different kind of platform for my art, and I'm excited, and I'm sitting in that space right now and been feeling it out for a while. But yeah, I'm loving the feeling that it's making me feel, and the space and the energy around that idea. So I'm excited, and yeah, expect some news with regards to that. Okay, take care. Have a fantastic Thursday. It's almost the weekend. Exciting. Take care, everybody.